On January 29th and 30th, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA held its 16th annual National Public Affairs Seminar and 12th annual Day on the Hill. The flagship events of the Public Affairs Department took place in person for the first time in 3 years. More than 130 delegates from 45 chapters across the United States attended the events. The national seminar at Beth Rahman Mosque in Maryland featured opening remarks by Maulana Azhar Hanif, National Vice President and Missionary in Charge of Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA.
We just heard in the beginning verses of Quran. What did Allah say to us? O ye who believe, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, usta'inu bis-sabri was-salah. The work you're about to do, the service you're about to make, the sacrifice you're about to give cannot be done without sabr and salah. It's impossible. Everything I just sat here and listened to what Amjad Khan is asking us to do, impossible to do any single word of that directive without sabr and salah, without being steadfast and patient and forbearing and consistent and praying your heart and soul out.
The interactive sessions included expert presentations on effective engagement with members of U.S. Congress and best practices for social media and press engagement. Special guest Nassim Malik of the International Human Rights Committee in Sweden provided the latest updates on the worsening persecution facing Ahmadi Muslims in Pakistan, Algeria, and other parts of the Muslim world. Amjad Mahmood Khan, National Secretary for Public Affairs, reminded delegates of their heightened responsibility in light of the rising persecution against Ahmadi Muslims.
When you say your Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the prayer of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allah Ta'ala, make my task easy, make my tongue easy, make my words come out the right way. And as you're sitting there and you're showing the photo of these 9 Ahmadi Muslims, you are their voice. You are the voice of their wives. You are the voice of their children. They don't have the ability to advocate, but you do. So be there for them. And then when you depart tomorrow on your plane rides back, don't forget them. Don't forget who are these people. Like the 86 people, we have a photo of them as well. The 86 Ahmadis of Lahore, don't forget them either. These are the people that we need to be fighting for, and there may be more opposition.
The seminar concluded with an evening conversation with special guest Murabbi Marwan Gil, president of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Argentina.
But what I want to share with you is that, as we discussed it as well earlier, that what I witnessed and think that's a blessing of serving as Secretary Muri Kharja or any post, that you can witness yourself. I think we are in first hand the people who can witness the signs of God with the community and with Hazur Anwar Ayyadallah Ta'ala bin Nasr Aziz. So since my first day in Argentina, I've witnessed, and this to share with you that I don't consider myself a holy or saint person. So I don't consider myself a Buzurg, I'm an ordinary Ahmadi. But I think just because of the blessings of belonging to this Jamaat, you can witness that how Allah's invisible hand is always behind you. And it's Hazur's prayers who opens up the doors, as long as you have a pure intention.
The next day, delegates embarked on a day on U.S. Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., holding meetings with more than 130 U.S. congressional offices, including many direct meetings with individual U.S. senators and members of the U.S. House of Representatives. Delegates then joined a special program held by the International Religious Freedom Summit, entitled In Solidarity with the Persecuted, in which faith representatives and policy experts of 8 persecuted communities briefed congressional staffers on the most pressing issues affecting religious freedom worldwide. Nearly 200 people attended this event, and special emphasis was placed on the recent murders of 9 Ahmadi Muslims in Burkina Faso.
And I do want to begin with what happened to members of the Ahmadiyya community in Burkina Faso first. It's particularly chilling because faithful Ahmadiyya men were dragged from their place of worship. And in an act that is much more chilling and much more terrifying, and I'm sure intended to be so, than even a terrorist bomb that is thrown into a building and goes off and many people are injured and killed. These brave and faithful men were dragged out and one by one threatened to deny their faith. And they wouldn't. And one by one, in front of their families, in front of their fellow believers, they were murdered in cold blood. And you know, it's horrifying and it's also incredibly inspiring. Those men have become martyrs. And we, of course, find each of ourselves asking the question, would I have that kind of integrity? Would I have that integrity to say no? In the end, the integrity of my soul means more than my life, and I will not turn my back on it. I don't know what the answer is. You know, we all hope we would have that kind of courage, but we darned well better have the courage to do something for that community and to show that we will not let this outrage go unpunished.
9 Ahmadi Muslims were killed in Burkina Faso for not renouncing their faith, each cornered, given a chance to live if they would renounce their faith, wouldn't do it, and killed in front of everybody else. And these are just a couple of things that have happened within the past couple of weeks, and that's why we fight, and that's why we're here. That we've really got to get this thing stopped, or you're going to see a continued whole bunch of these things happening.
I think that there's something unique about the persecution of Ahmadis because it's coming from Muslim countries, and we, despite everything, we believe that the antidote for this persecution is not outside of Islam. It is the true teachings of the Holy Quran, and it's the true teachings of the Holy Prophet of Islam that will resolve these issues. So it's not that we are inviting or asking our Muslim brothers to redefine Islam. They just need to go back to the origins and follow the teachings of the Prophet of Islam.
When the persecuted fight for the persecuted, that's when the real change will take place. So if you heard something tonight about a community you've never heard about, then you have been educated in just a brief amount of time. And just imagine the pain in the hearts of some of the people who spoke today, and the genocide and potential genocide and crimes against humanity that these communities are facing. Some of these communities don't have advocates on the Hill. We are your advocates. We are the advocates for these communities. It's our obligation, our moral obligation, to stand for those who do not believe what we believe so that we can believe what we believe.
Later that night, a dinner reception was held at the American Fazl Mosque in Washington, D.C., with special guests U.S. Congresswoman Norma Torres, summit co-chairs Dr. Katrina Lantos Sweat and Sam Brownback, as well as Rabbi Miguel Stuerman. On January 31st, delegates from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA also participated in the 3rd Annual International Religious Freedom Summit, which was attended by nearly 1,000 delegates from more than 30 faith communities. U.S. Congressman James McGovern, chair of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, and U.S. Congressman Michael McCall, chair of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, used their opening plenary remarks to highlight the persecution of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community.
And I want to close by highlighting one deadly example of religious intolerance. Yesterday, friends in the Ahmadiyya Muslim community told me about the cold-blooded execution of 9 of their adherents in Burkina Faso. There is no question that the men were killed because of their beliefs. They were told to renounce their faith or die. And I hope that everyone attending the summit, whatever their faith tradition, will condemn this heinous act and demand respect for the religious freedom of Ahmadi Muslims, because anything else would go against the values and principles that we all claim to support. I thank all of you for your dedication to upholding religious freedom for everyone on this planet.
I think Jim mentioned the Ahmadiyya Muslims, very peaceful, loving Muslims who are persecuted in Pakistan as well. And it's just very sad to see that that's still happening in this world today.
The summit also featured the powerful story of Ahmad Farooq, an Ahmadi Muslim survivor of persecution from Pakistan. In addition, an exhibition featuring martyrs of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community drew more than 1,000 attendees of the summit throughout the 2-day proceedings. A day after the summit, representatives from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA were also special guests of the Honorable Ambassador of Argentina to the United States as part of a Muslim-Jewish dialogue at the Embassy of Argentina. Finally, Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA also participated in the National Prayer Breakfast with U.S. President Joe Biden, in which representatives of the community interacted with hundreds of special guests, diplomats, and other dignitaries. Ismat Mangla, USA Studios, MTA News.